To another American TESOL Presents Free Friday webinars. I'm your hostess, Shelly Sanchez-Terrell, and I am going to introduce you to some digital icebreakers to enhance the four skills, which are reading, writing, listening, and speaking, but also a great way to get all learners to build relationships and form strong bonds. We are here because of AmericanTESOL.com. I am the social community media manager, and I also um, I'm the instructor and the writer of the ESLTech.com course. You can get a certification in teaching English with technology. You can get a certification for also teaching young learners, and also for advanced TESOL, which is recognized around the world. In fact, we just processed many with some new students. Some students I recently had finished the course in China. So they'll be starting their schools very, very soon with their TESOL certifications. But you can check that out at AmericanTESOL.com. I really think digital icebreakers are really great, not only for icebreakers in general, but you can use them as warmers and even fillers. And what that means is before a lesson, you can get students, if you see that students are restless and you want them to, or they're very shy and hesitant to participate, then icebreakers are really, really great for getting students out of that shell and used to talking and speaking. And more comfortable with it. The reason why is because icebreakers aren't graded. So we're not going to grade any of these because these are meant to be activities. They can get like a participation grade or something like that. You can, the ones that they actually turn in, you can check for grammar later. But at the beginning, we just want them to break the ice. In other words, we want them, this is a popular phrase that means getting students more comfortable, getting them to relax, and getting them to open up. So the other part is that it really helps each student to form bonds with each other. And a lot of times English language speakers are really shy about making mistakes. They're scared about it. They're embarrassed. But icebreakers are a fun way where they don't have to worry about that. It's very comfortable. We just want them to use the English they already have, and also to just be able to feel comfortable talking with their peers, so that way they can get the most practice in their classrooms. There's a lot of benefits to icebreakers. They encourage sharing. There's something you can do anytime. So if you notice that a lesson isn't going well, or your students, sometimes you get students that just finished eating and they're very tired and lethargic, and they look like they're going to fall asleep in your classroom. It's a great way to wake them up. Sometimes you get students who just came home, just finished with nap time. With my very, very young learners, that was a problem, and they just needed some time to adjust before they started learning again. It helps you build relationships with your students because your students get to know you as well, especially if you participate. And I think you should participate. You should always be the first one to stand up and do whatever you ask your students to do. Even if it takes a little bit of guts, because your students are going through the same thing. They need to step out of their comfort zone, so we have to model that. It's a great way to prevent bullying because students learn about each other, they build relationships, they build friendships with each other, and it also gets them moving around the classroom, which I think is really great. So I'm going to start off with one that actually Jane Cohen had recently used, and she's in here inside the webinar today, but she's telling me she used this one, which is called Digital Bingo. I did provide link to all the resources. Let me go ahead and get you those as well. There's a link there that'll give you, that'll show you where you can download that, and you can adapt it any way that you want. You can add, Jane added on hers, ones that weren't about technology that actually got students to do things. So you can do that as well, adjust it any way you want. With this particular bingo, you don't you can use a web tool. You could use, if you have Android tablets, if you have any kind of tablet, they can. can write on an iPad anything like that. You could put this in a Google Doc and then they can just fill that out with the stylus pen. Or you can print this out and it still gets them to think about technology. So it's still considered a digital icebreaker. It gets them to think about which social networks they belong to. It gets them to think about, how many times if they know what all the tech speak languages mean. You can even put some emojis, see if they know what kind of emojis they mean. Um, and these are for older learners, but you can definitely adjust this to be for younger learners. And I've used this with teens as well. So this is something that I'll be using with my college students as well and change some of these as well. And then I usually do something with all learners called mobile show and tell. Even very young learners can do this. So what you can do is that you're able to it's a great, especially if you're going to use mobile devices or they're going to use their own devices in the classroom. So basically you ask students to take out their mobile device and to share a picture that they recently took. They don't need the internet for that because a lot of times they have pictures on their mobile device. Now, if your learners, and then they just talk about the story behind it. They just talk about where they took it, why they took it. You can even do the questions: what, where, when, why, how. That, and then they can practice those skills as well. The other part is if they don't have technology, then you can have them take something from their backpack, from their purse, and to show a personal item like an earring, a ring, um, maybe keys or something they can share and they can talk about that. They can, so they don't necessarily have to have technology to complete this lesson. But if they do, then we prefer them to talk about the pictures that are on their mobile device. Then after that, the students get together and then they choose one of the images that they shared on their device and they have to work together to recreate the image. So this is actually one from one of the training sessions I had. This is the picture that was shown of the little girl or sister in a wheelbarrow, and she talked about that. And then the group recreated it in the classroom this way. This is how they recreated. So they have to work together to be able to recreate that, and they have to talk to each other. They also have to tell each other, for example, they have to direct each other. They have to set up the props. So they're usually in groups of 3 and 4, and that makes it more effective. With a lot of these activities, I time them. So that's one way to make sure that they stay on task and they're not going off task and checking there and Instagram or Snapchat chats or uh, something like that. So usually I give them about anywhere from a mini to five minutes to complete the ice breaker. Depending on what it is. So a lot of times um especially the group ones. It'll be about 1 to five minutes. That I give them. And you get to decide